Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into Allium Cepa.
That's the red onion, right?
Exactly. We're looking at its homeopathic profile based on, well, the classic Boricke's Materia Medica.
All right, a foundational text.
Our mission basically is to pull out the main ideas, the traditional characteristics linked to it.
Yeah, Boricke gives a really detailed picture, and we're aiming to highlight those key signs and symptoms. It's all part of that traditional homeopathic idea, like cures like.
Using tiny amounts of something to treat symptoms it might cause in larger doses. Okay, so what's the core picture here? What really jumps out for Allium Cepa?
Well, the big thing, the really striking part, is this combination. You get a very acrid nasal discharge.
Acrid meaning like it burns, irritation.
Precisely. It burns the nose, the upper lip, but at the same time, the tears from the eyes are completely bland. They don't sting at all.
Oh, that's interesting. That contrast.
That contrast is, well, it's a major clue for Allium Cepa traditionally.
Yeah. And I remember reading something about a singer's cold. What's that?
Ah, yes. That points to hoarseness, maybe laryngitis. And the key is it feels worse in warm, stuffy rooms.
Source indoors.
Yeah, and it often gets worse towards the evening. But stepping out into the fresh, open air often makes it feel better.
So relief outdoors. Makes sense.
Boricke also mentions it might suit people who are a bit more phlegmatic in temperament. And it was often considered for colds that pop up in damp, cold weather.
Right, that damp chill. You can almost feel it. Okay, any other really standout symptoms Boricke flagged?
Oh, definitely. There's a really fascinating description of nerve pains. They're described as feeling like a fine thread.
A fine thread. Wow.
Yeah. These pains might show up after, say, a nerve injury or even following an amputation. Phantom limb pain, maybe?
Interesting connection.
And there's also this recurring theme of burning sensations, not just the nose, but maybe the mouth, throat, bladder, even the skin.
A lot of burning.
Yes, alongside a feeling Boricke called glowing heat. It sort of makes you wonder about the chemistry of onions, doesn't it?
It really does. Glowing heat. That's vivid. What about headaches linked to this profile?
Boricke describes catarrhal headaches, often in the forehead. And again, the pattern holds worse in a warm room, worse in the evening.
Same triggers.
Exactly. Sometimes they were even linked to the menstrual cycle, and those thread-like pains could show up in the face too.
Okay. And back to the eyes for a second. You said the tears were bland. Anything else?
The eyes themselves might look red, feel a bit burny or smarty, but the key takeaway is the tearing is profuse yet bland. And again, relief often comes from being out in the open air. Sensitivity to light can also be part of the picture.
So the nose gets the irritation, the eyes get the waterworks, but no sting.
Got it.
Let's talk more about the nose then, since that acrid discharge seems so central.
Absolutely. Frequent sneezing is a big one, especially that classic thing of sneezing fits when you walk into a warm room from the cold.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. And the discharge itself is described as, well, copious, watery, and extremely acrid, really burning. Boricke even mentions its use for hay fever.
Hay fever. Interesting. Thinking about modern allergies.
Suggests a link there, doesn't it?
What about the respiratory system generally? Lungs, throat?
Well, there's the hoarseness we mentioned. Also, potentially a hacking cough, often triggered by breathing in cold air.
So cold air helps the eyes, but triggers the cough.
It can, yes. A tickling in the larynx is also mentioned, and sometimes this quite strange sensation like the larynx is being split or torn.
Ooh, uncomfortable.
Yeah. And maybe some oppressed breathing, like a pressure on the chest.
Okay, so let's recap the main triggers. The modalities, as they're called.
Right. The pattern is pretty consistent. Symptoms are generally worse in the evening and inside in warm rooms,
Worse, warm.
and generally better out in the open, especially in cool or cold air.
Better, cool. That fits perfectly with the singer's cold getting relief outside.
Exactly. It all ties together.
Now, Boricke compares Allium Cepa to other remedies too, right? Like Gelsemium, euphrasia. Why make those comparisons?
That's crucial in homeopathy. It helps differentiate. For example, euphrasia, that's eye bright, is also for colds with eye symptoms. But typically, with euphrasia, the eye discharge is acrid, burning the eyes, while the nasal discharge is bland.
The exact opposite of Allium Cepa.
Precisely. And something like Gelsemium, another cold remedy, often comes with more muscle weakness, maybe dizziness, and notably often a lack of thirst. Different picture. These details help find the best match.
Makes sense. So for someone listening, what's the real takeaway from this Allium Cepa exploration?
I think it highlights this very specific symptom picture, especially that burning nose, bland eyes pattern, and how strongly it was traditionally linked to environmental factors, temperature, air quality.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how traditionally those subtle reactions to your environment were seen as really important clues for understanding health.
Absolutely. So, this look at Allium Cepa through Boricke's lens is maybe an invitation for you, the listener, to just consider, well, how sensitive are you to things like a warm room versus cold air? Do your own discomforts seem to follow patterns like these? Perhaps noticing those connections could give you a new perspective on your own well being.